Coach Carthel, appreciate you joining us. I guess you can say we can officially put a bow on fall camp. Give us kind of your overall thoughts on how you've seen the Jacks progress from week 1 to now this moment here.
I think we had a really good camp, stayed fairly healthy. A few bumps and bruises and working on getting those guys back. But, just thing I'm pleased with is how fast we're playing. Still here at this practice number 19 or 20, you kind of lose count, but still playing fast. I think coaches and players and the training staff done a great job. Everybody's taking care of each other, where it's not about beating them down during camp. It's about installing everything and getting game ready, but also taking care of our bodies. And went with a different setup this year. Really pleased with that schedule and how we attacked it. And I think we're fresh and playing fast still. 20 practices in.
And Coach, offensively, coming into fall camp, coming into the first week, there were some guys on that offensive depth chart obviously already penciled in. I mean, you can look at your quarterback position and Sam, obviously very, very veteran group over there, especially wide receivers, running back room. Talk a little bit about just how you've seen that unit progress, maybe some areas that some guys that maybe push some of the veterans in situations like that.
I think it's been really good. Obviously quarterback is a strength for us, and Sam and Gavin have picked up right where they left off and doing a really, really good job. Have two really talented freshmen in here, JT Kitna and Bryson Broadway, and those guys have, they don't look like freshmen, so that's encouraging to see. The positions you mentioned, running back, wide receiver, we talk about it all the time. It's got to be a we, not me, because there's a lot of talent in that room. We won't have a selfish attitude, we're going to have a bad football team. But if we put the team first, and there's not enough snaps, there's not enough carries, there's not enough catches to go around to make everybody happy if we're going to be ego-driven. But those guys have really done a good job. Got some healthy competition there, guys pushing each other, and so far we really like what we see.
And Coach, defensively, when you look at each of the levels of the defense, you return some veteran leadership, some guys that have played a lot of meaningful snaps for the Jacks. How have you seen their leadership on that defense, knowing that there's some other areas that you're going to have to plug in some new faces?
Yeah, overall, pleased with the defense. They really put a lot in, defensively. Coach Moose, they put the whole dead burn playbook in, and so they took in a lot. Now it's time to, narrow it down and get ready. We're in game week now, and you'll take something different into each game. But, that group obviously led by the D-line up front, and there's been no drop-off there. Corners have been great. Charles Deming's having a great camp, but there's others in that room that look good. Safety is where we got hit hard by graduation, linebacker, and brought some guys in January that had a really good spring, and those reps are really paying off. And so I think we're going to be okay and up the middle of the defense, and they're executing at a high level now. It'll be different come next Thursday. Going up against a different offense and kind of going in that one blind a little bit with two new coordinators. But I'm pleased with our progress and where we are.
And Coach, looking at that third phase of the game, special teams, I know Coach Nelson's obviously put in a lot of time and work on that side of the football. What have you seen specifically from the kicking game? Obviously, knowing you're going into this having to replace Chris Campos, Callum Eddings, things like that. What have you seen from those guys?
Those are the specialists, and they've been, we feel pretty good about where we are there. I'm more pleased with just our overall team and work they've put into that third facet of special teams. We got a lot of receivers and running backs that are not looking for the shadows during special teams. They're out there leading the line, leading the charge, and so I think we'll be really solid across the board. In terms of the specialists specifically, we've got a new punter, another one from Australia, Paz, and he talks funny, but he kicks it far. I hope he never plays. That you don't want your punter playing. Punters for quitters is what we always say. But he's had a really good camp, and then our kicking room, there's still a good competition there. I think we've got two kickers that have really emerged, Carlos and Jacob, and those guys are, right there neck and neck, and hadn't really named a starter there yet, but both kicking well. You saw that here at the end of practice today. So I think we'll be in good shape there. But that's something you better be ready to play at a high level early on, because that's the area of the game that a lot of times these early games, it tilts it one way or the other in terms of your special teams play.
And Coach, one more question for you. Obviously, a week from tonight, You're in Houston, you're taking on the Cougars, opening up the 25 campaign. Then welcome to game week. What's kind of the message, obviously, going into first game of the season and kind of the approach, knowing that obviously a really good showing set you up really well throughout the remainder of the season?
You bet. What we got to do is, it is what it is. We're an FCS program playing the Big 12, and so we'll go down there. Our kids are excited, playing Houston. We got a bunch from Houston. Coaches are excited. I think it's a great game, for our alumni and everybody to show out in the greater Houston area. So I expect a big crowd. I know our ticket sales have been really good for that so far. But in terms of just the game, we just want to go out and take steps, each day leading up. It is game week. It's game prep, and it counts. And so, we want to go out there and do the best that the 2025 Lumberjacks can be. I want to see us get better from 7 o'clock kickoff to 9:45 when the clock hits 0, and find out kind of what we have to work with and stay healthy. Obviously, when you're fighting up a couple weight classes, you want to get out of the game healthy. So that's a big piece of it too. But our guys are excited. I'm excited, and we'll be ready to take the field and see what we're made of.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us, Coach. Welcome to game week.
Excellent.